Welcome to the Weekly Gaming Blast, the podcast that brings you the latest gaming news unhinged. I'm AkibanaZero.
I'm RTG, hello.
And
I'm Daniel Dillips.
Yep, well, there he is. He's already becoming better at this. He knows to present. So yes, we have a guest today. We have Daniel Dillips on the show. Welcome, Daniel, for the second time.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
All right, awesome. How have you been?
Yeah, not bad, the usual. How about yourself?
You look pretty happy. Yeah, I'm okay.
Good.
And what about you, Ruski?
I am well, thank you very much.
Great. Seems to be quite sunny where you guys are.
No, I've just got the blinds open. It's not sunny at all. It's actually overcast.
I see. Right. So, pretty exciting stuff. We're going to be talking about Street Fighter V Arcade Edition today in our big talk. That's why we got Daniel over here, our resident Street Fighter expert.
Yes.
Yeah, he looks pretty excited. Are you excited about this?
Oh, I am, yes.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for this for like a couple of months now.
Well, we feel pretty good about that. Right, so, real quick, what have you guys been playing? Let's start with Daniel, since he's the guest, and we need to be good hosts.
Well, obviously, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, I've been playing a ton of that. I've been playing FNAF Pizzeria Simulator, which is a sequel to, obviously, Five Nights at Freddy's. It's basically a free game on Steam. It's very scary. It's my sort of game. It's got a lot of lure in it about the whole series of Five Nights at Freddy's, because what a lot of people don't understand, they think it's just a horror game, but it's not. It's a really in-depth story, and there's a lot of stuff that's hidden in the game, a lot of Easter eggs. It's a ton of fun, and also there's tons of jump scares, and that's something that I love. I love to be scared. I love to be tense and nervous, and it's just a great game. It's just a great experience. But I've also been playing Divinity Original Sin 2.
Mm-hmm.
But that's incredibly tough. It's such a long game. It's very rewarding. And yeah, these are the main games I've been playing, really. Also Overwatch, of course. I've managed to find about 4 people who actually work as a team and are not toxic. And, it's been a very rewarding experience to have nice people to play with,
So you found other... Oh, go on, Akibana.
Yeah, I've found like 3 other people who can actually play the game well, and also it's incredible when you find a team that even if you lose with that team, you've had a good game. You can tell like it's an amazing team when you've had that experience.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that it's pretty good that when you find people to play with, because these team games they're not, in my experience at least, they're not great when you're trying to do pickup groups. Pugs, it's really not that great because it's really toxic, but once you find people you can jive with, it's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's communication's key in that game.
Yeah,
you can't carry all the time. You have to like say, okay, I'm going to Discord this guy, so all focus on that character to kill it, and then you go to another character, and then and it's made it easier for me to multi-class rather than just be one person, because the team needs diversity. And it reminds me of like the Overwatch League and hearing about the controversy there, but in spite of that, it's really good how the teams work together, but they all work as cohesive units, and that's how they get to that level. But that's like the full team. I've only got about 3 other people I'm playing with, so I still need some more people to play with. But until then, I'll just see how I get on.
Anyway, we'll hope that happens for you. Ruben, what about you? What have you been playing?
Pretty much the polar opposite to what Dillips has been playing. He's been playing all competitive and like potentially toxic because of Overwatch and like horror jump scares. I've been playing Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a magical sort of ethereal romp through a magic forest as a weird kind of light-based pixie. Like, it's literally the polar opposite of everything that's gone before. It's a very good game, though. It does have some BS in it, but I find any platformer has to have some BS in it nowadays, so Well, no, not nowadays. Ever since the dawn of time of platformers, I think, going back to Contra. But yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest. I would really recommend it if you have a PC/Xbox One/Xbox 360.
I think it's on 360 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I've got the definitive edition on Xbox One, but I know it was released on 360 originally. Yeah, it's good. It's a good game. And finally, I can't properly talk about, but I can briefly talk about the game I've been reviewing as well.
Okay.
Dragon Quest Builders on Switch. I've always been put off by Minecraft because Minecraft always felt like it didn't have a point. And I like to have a direction. I don't like to be just left on my own devices, which is why I don't like open world games really either. And which is why I haven't got very far in Skyrim, because I'm just like, give me something to do. But Dragon Quest Builders, you've constantly got an objective to be working towards that revolves somewhere around building, whether it be getting resources or whether it be building like rooms for people who have increasingly more absurd desires. No, seriously. Seriously, it just keeps going up and up and up in terms of absurdity. It's just like, no one ever uses this room. Why have you asked me to make this room? I was asked to make, I think it was like a sewing room so people could make clothes. They've never made clothes.
Oh, great. Since
I made that room. And that was a good 5 hours ago game time. I'm just like, don't ask me to make something and not use it. I will I will demolish this building and build something else. Which now I've done the quest, I guess I can do. But yeah, it's a really good game. And also because it has all of the like familiar Dragon Quest elements. So it has familiar enemies, it has familiar music and chimes and sound effects, and it's it's very nostalgic whilst being an entirely new experience. It's lovely.
I've been playing the demo of that, and I agree about what you're saying about it not having direction in games like Minecraft and stuff, because I just feel overwhelmed. I tried getting into Terraria a bunch of times, but I just really can't sit there and say, like, okay, now I'm going to make the goal for myself. The game kind of needs to give it for me, and I feel like maybe Dragon Quest Builders might be my access into these games.
And the thing is, once you've been given the tools you need to kind of do things, then you start naturally doing things on your own as well. So, like, I had a weird sense of pride the first time that I was out kind of foraging for materials, and I had nowhere to stay, and it was getting late at night, which means that the more powerful enemies come out. So I basically dug into the side of a mountain, a house for myself, and then just put a little door and a bed, and then I just slept there overnight. And then I was just like, that's actually I wouldn't have thought to do that when I first started playing this game, but now I'm literally fleshing out the side of mountains to sleep in. I just put myself a little box and like a little torch, and I just made a little home away from home. And it's unusual that in a game where there is so much direction, it does kind of inspire you in a way to go off the beaten track a little bit as well.
I like that. I might actually pick up that game, because I really wanted to get into this kind of stuff. As for me, I've been playing Street Fighter V, like both of you, I imagine, have been all playing like Street Fighter V. Arcade Edition's out, and it's great, but we're going to talk about that later. I managed to finish Xenoblade Chronicles 2, at least the story, and I'm going to move on to, you know, maxing out stuff and all that, because I really want to... That's what this game has done to me. I want to really max out things, and I can't wait for New Game Plus. And I've also kicked off, aside from the betas that I've been playing, the Monster Hunter beta and the Dragon Ball beta, which are both really, really fun, I started playing Doki Doki Literature Club.
I need to see your video on that, because I have heard many things about this game.
It has a bit of a cult following. It's a visual novel anime thing where you're a guy who gets into a literature club with these 4 cute girls. So it's kind of interesting. I had a lot of fun making that video, so I'm gonna make more of it.
I will watch your video on it. But I know there's a point in the game where it all goes a bit. It has a massive turning point. And I don't want to watch past that because I don't want to know what the turning point is. Because I do want to play this game.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe you might not want to be spoiled at some point by me. But, of course, you make your own experience there. because you're making these poems, and according to the poems, you get closer to specific characters. So, yeah, I don't know how that works, but yeah, maybe you don't want to get spoiled. Right. Okay, let's jump right into the controversies, and we only have one really, and we're gonna talk about Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition.
Ooh.
Ooh. Have you played Final Fantasy 15?
Sounds great. No.
Yeah, it sounds very royal, doesn't it?
No, but Royal Edition sounds better than Premier Edition, or, you know, it sounds pretty cool, but obviously it's marketing, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is a pretty cool way of calling it, instead of calling it Definitive Edition or Complete Edition or
Complete Edition. Oh my god.
Yeah,
that'd be awful. I hate it when they do that because it makes it sound like, oh, the game you got, it's not finished. Here's the Complete Edition.
Well, Royal Edition is essentially doing that anyway.
Yeah, by stealth.
Oh yeah. Because what happened, because it is actually a complete edition. If you buy the Royal Edition, which consequently is also being released on PC, it will contain all current updates and DLCs, plus new content. Now, if you already own the game, like myself and Ruben do over here, if we want the new content, we need to pay an extra $20 for it. And that's where the controversy has started.
So that will put, in all fairness, me having spent, I think it's close to £100.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think just over £100 on Final Fantasy 15. So if Royal Edition comes out at, say, around about £40, I'm going to be miffed to all hell.
I think you should be prepared to be miffed to all hell.
It's Square Enix, so I'm not entirely surprised by it.
I mean, and this begs a question right now. I mean, because this is what's upset me about this as well. It's like, should we just stop buying games day one altogether? And I mean, I know people have been memeing this for a while, like, hey, I mean, don't buy games day one and all that. But this complete edition plus extra content, it's just like, I feel it's pushed that boundary further to the point where it's like, maybe I shouldn't buy games day one anymore. Or maybe at its early stages at all. What are your thoughts, Daniel?
This is more insidious than complete editions.
Yeah,
complete editions are bad enough as it is. They kind of invalidate the original purchase, the original game. But releasing a version that is not only a complete edition but has additional content as well is insulting to the players that originally bought the game. So, like, that would be if, like, let's just say as an example, that would be if Capcom released Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, but they released that containing Seasons 1, 2, and 3 season passes for the cost of Arcade Edition. So anyone who originally had the original Street Fighter V would have to pay for Season 3, but if you bought Arcade Edition, you had all 3 seasons. So that's getting you not only the complete edition of the game, but additional stuff that the previous owners have to buy. It's a similar sort of concept to that, which that would cause an uproar. So why is this not causing more of an uproar? Because it's Square Enix, and no one really cares about them anymore.
That's interesting.
After 13, a lot of people have jumped ship from Square Enix with good reason, and this sort of thing isn't exactly inspiring players to come back to them.
True. Daniel, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, well, in a way, so it's almost like you're saying don't buy games from day one, or perhaps we shouldn't buy games from day one, but also just remember people pre-order games and then they get bonuses, so they get like a starting, like in Dead Space 2 you got a starting chance pack where you get health packs, you get some upgrade nodes and stuff like that, and some ammo. And I'm like, I don't want that, because I feel like if I do have that, then I'm going to be at an advantage in single player, bear in mind. I'm going to be in an advantage. And that just takes away from the game, I think, because I've basically been given an advantage that any other players wouldn't have been given. So I think, generally speaking, it's a good practice not to buy on day one, but realistically, with my patience and with my urge to buy new games, sometimes I don't care. I want it day one because I want it as soon as possible. Even though it's likely the same game I buy on day one, it's the same game I'll buy day 60 or whatever, and it's reduced in price. I do wonder if it's realistic. It may not be realistic to say don't buy on day one, because people are going to, but that doesn't take away from the argument that that's what should happen. People shouldn't buy on day one, because then you'll encourage bad behaviour from companies who will take advantage.
That's indeed true. Right. So, what do you, our listeners, feel about this controversy? Controversy. That's not a word. And sound off in the comments below. Let's jump into our news bites. Ruben, you want to take this one?
Yeah. We've had a weird week for if you're a Nintendo fan. You've had a weird week because you've either fallen on the positive or the negative side about what I'm about to talk about. But Nintendo announced that they were going to be unveiling something. They said it was going to be a new way to play, a new way to experience, and that it was aimed at kids. What they ended up revealing was Nintendo Labo, which, for those who haven't seen the trailer yet, Nintendo Labo is essentially cardboard, create your own peripherals, of which you can use the Switch with these cardboard peripherals and the game that comes with it to have... It's weird. It's because it's essentially taking the concept of VR and going, this is the next step forwards, because it's actual reality. So to use an example, one of them, you construct the hands, the feet, the head, and the kind of body as a backpack of a giant robot, of which then Joy-Cons are put into the extremities, the limbs, and you control a giant mech in the game on the Switch using your own movement.
It even transforms.
Yeah,
you kneel down and it transforms into a car. It's absolutely fun. So
it's both absurd and genius at the same time, because these things are marketed as being entirely customizable. You can paint them, you can draw on them, obviously, because they're made out of card. And the technology they actually use is actually genius. Like, for instance, the piano, all of the keys have a silver strip on one edge of them, that when you press the key, the Joy-Con's infrared sensor will pick up in real time which key you've pressed and transfer that to the console wirelessly. Which is the first time they've used the infrared sensor on the Joy-Cons, and it is the most absurd way that I could have physically thought of using it. The only issue that a lot of people are taking with it, well, a lot of people are taking the stupid issue with that, but I'll get to that in a second. But the main issue people are taking is the cost. That it's going to be, isn't it $60 for the kind of multi-pack one, which has the piano and the RC cars and the house and stuff like that, and then 80, isn't it 70 and then 80 for the giant robot, I believe.
Yeah, it's about 80 bucks, I think, for the giant robot.
I mean, a lot of people are jumping on the price and completely forgetting and saying, oh, £80 for cardboard. No, the game is with it, and games cost money to make. That's where most of the money is coming from. Plus, also, it's not just cardboard. Quite a lot of this is treated cardboard that has different sensors and stuff on it, because obviously it needs to read movements. Obviously, there's with the giant robot, there's strings as well and pulleys and stuff. So, but yes, I still argue that it's extortionate. But Nintendo are extortionate, unforgivably so most of the time. And this is one of those times. It is unforgivably extortionate. But the thing which has angered me the most recently has been all of the, but I'm not interested in this, arguments from adults. You're not interested in this, you dumbass, because it's not aimed at you. It's aimed at kids, not you. They said explicitly before the broadcast, this is aimed at kids. For you to then, well, yeah, I mean, I mean, Akibana is all for this concept and is very interested in it. I'm not interested in this concept, but I know it's not aimed at me. So I'm like, okay, I'll just, I don't know, I'll play Dragon Quest Builders, and I'll play Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3, and I'll finish off the games I'm currently playing, and I'll play the copious other Dark Souls Remastered. These games are aimed at me. Labo isn't. So why am I going to get upset that Nintendo are doing this very clever concept that isn't aimed at me? It seems ridiculous.
Daniel, have you checked out Nintendo Labo?
No, I haven't. I've seen some tweets about it and some reactions, but I won't be able to like comment too much about it, other than the fact that, well, kids, like really young children, enjoy playing with cardboard. And I thought, like, in Christmas, like, sometimes you just give them the box and they just play with it. They'll be happy.
There you go. This guy gets it. That's genius. That's the genius of it.
But with regard to people saying, "Oh, that's not aimed at me," I mean, that is a ridiculous criticism. I mean, I could just say that about a whole lot of things that aren't aimed at me. You know, okay, it's not aimed at you. That's why they've got marketing departments, and kids make up such a high. There's such a high market share aimed for children. You know, but I haven't got a great opinion on it, to be honest.
Well, one thing that has kind of flown under the radar about this announcement has been that they also mentioned that there was going to be some kind of programming language that you can use in the Switch to make your own games, which I assume are going to be compatible with Nintendo Labo. And I'm thinking this whole concept could go beyond buying kits. You could actually make your own kits down the line. I mean, I could totally see that happening. And if that would be the case, I am all for this, because it means that we're not just putting kids into playing games. We're putting kids into actually developing games, which is the step that you want to take, which is the step that, you know, games like Minecraft have been promoting for a while. And I think that is great. That is great for the industry. And the fact that people are really in an uproar because Nintendo dared to announce something that was not aimed at them, it makes it even more absurd. You want kids to continue this industry. You want them to be a part of it. And I'm so interested in this as a new father. I'm so interested in this because it means that I can combine my hobby, like bring my hobby into my kids' life in a very interesting way without getting them totally glued on a screen. They can actually feel the game. They actually participate and create something. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Rather than getting them into Street Fighter, causing them mental health issues.
That's the next step. That's the next step. You wanted to say something, Ruben?
Start them on ranked.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll just toss them into ranked.
End.
The deep end, immediately. Like, I'm going to be like the father lion tossing my kids off the cliff. Or the Heihachi, so as it is. Right.
Into the volcano.
Yeah, into the volcano directly. Right, so let's move on to our next news bit, and this one is... I was kind of torn if I was going to put her in controversy or not, but it seems to be not as predatory a practice as some other loot boxes out there, so I thought let's just make it news. So yeah, early Dragon Ball FighterZ copies show the presence of Capsule Corp branded loot boxes. Now, to explain a little bit, Arxis has a bit of a history with quote-unquote loot boxes in the form of fishing in, I believe it was Guilty Gear Revelator. Is that right, RTG?
It is indeed. Yes, I've wasted so much time fishing.
Yes, I remember doing that as well. So you fish and you get a bunch of items that basically are there to customize your online presence, as it were. Like your little avatar that you have walking around and stuff. So something similar is going to exist in Dragon Ball FighterZ, and it's going to be branded as the Capsule Corp stuff because, yeah, that's part of the universe of Dragon Ball. But apparently you can also buy these with real money, because there are two types of currency. You get the in-game currency, and then you get the Premium Z coin, something like that, which you can get by getting duplicate items that you already exist, or by buying them with real money. But all of this stuff is colors and lobby customization stuff and profile customization stuff, so maybe it's not quite as bad, like, to be considered like a really insidious bad loot box situation. I think it might be something we could consider a happy medium, so to speak. What are your thoughts, RTG?
Well, it seems that this is going along the same lines as your usual Arxis policy. Because, as you said, Guilty Gear had the fishing where you could, I think it was, and it was all in-game currency as well. There was no way of buying the currency to fish with real money. And you could either fish for 1 fish at a time or 10 fish at a time. And I think it worked out cheaper in terms of in-game currency to do 10 fish at a time. BlazBlue had a kind of gacha machine thing in the online lobbies where you could put in-game currency in, and you'd get lobby items or rooms for items for your online kind of player match room, or things for your title, your gamer card, and that was all in-game currency. So it just looks like they're just doing the same with DBFC, which is fine. I'm happy with that, and also the fact that and I actually quite like the sound of that you can trade in duplicate items to get currency back. I think that's a great idea.
They have that kind of system in Overwatch too, right, Daniel?
Yeah, well, it's essentially if you get a duplicate item, you get these gold coins, and then you can use those gold coins to buy specific outfits, icons, sprays, stuff like that, or emotions. Quite a lot of things you can use the gold coins on. What would often happen though is you won't have enough gold coins because it takes a long while to get the gold coins. So you'll just most likely find them in random loot boxes, and loot boxes affect superficial things. I was about to make a comparison between Street Fighter Capcom's Zenny to the currency of Dragon Ball Z, but the difference is that Zenny can only be bought with real money, whereas the Dragon Ball Z currency can be bought, like you said, with duplicate items. So that's not a comparison I need to make.
All right, you wanted to say something, RTG?
I was going to say it's a great thing because in BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, if you fish or get out of the machine duplicate items, you're stuck with them.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of however much, like I think it's like 10,000 in-game currency to fish for like 10 fish. And if 8 of those end up being items you already have, then that's 10,000 you've essentially pissed away. But the fact you can trade in duplicate items in this, I think, is a very, very, very kind of... It's a consumer-friendly idea.
It's a natural evolution of what they used to have, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
But I still think the argument stands with these loot boxes. The people are going to be addicted. They're going to gamble. What does it constitute as gambling when you buy loot boxes for new items?
Yeah, that's a discussion that we've had here on the show many times about loot boxes, and already people are arguing that maybe the practice of having only cosmetic stuff is okay and this and that. It's still a very gray, moral-ish sort of area, so it's a big discussion. We could get into that at some point later down the line. Not on this show, of course. All right, let's move on. RTG, this is yours.
One atrocious practice to another: season passes. Which I fundamentally disagree with as well. But Cory Balrog has said there will be no season pass in Dad of War, or God of War Fathership Edition, or whatever stupid name they're giving it. But that's interesting to me. But I'm definitely going to say now, and I know this is me being skeptical, but screw it. I will believe it when I see it. I have zero faith in the games industry at the moment to not put shoehorn season passes into everything. So them saying there won't be a season pass in Dad of War, prove it, is all I'm going to say.
That's pretty fair, because I mean, you could say on one hand it's like, okay, they're putting a word, maybe they're doing a wording thing here, like, you know, we're not going to do a season pass, we're going to do a I don't know what's even called it.
Pass.
A yearly pass, yeah, there you go, or an expansion pass, or
yeah,
I don't
know. The Nintendo one, the expansion pass.
Yeah, for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you're right. Yeah, right. Any thoughts, Daniel?
Not really, no. Sorry.
Okay, right.
I'm happy with the comments so far.
Well, it would be nice if they're indeed going to put their money where their mouth is with this, right? If indeed we get a complete, because that's what you could say is being implied here. On the one hand, if you're being a little more optimistic about things is that Cory Balrog is basically saying that, yeah, God of War is going to be a complete game upon launch. But yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of discussion from the industry itself, from developers, that single-player games don't make us a lot of money and they're expensive, so who knows? Maybe there's some other insidious or weird way that they're going to try to make more money.
The problem is with season passes, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get.
Sometimes that's the case, yeah.
Maybe that's
right.
a good thing.
Yeah.
So if you are a kind of, what's the word for it? If you are an informed consumer, generally you should only get season passes from either companies you trust, of which that's a very small list, or ones where it's explicitly listed beforehand what's going to be in it. So, like, I have no qualms in buying the Season 3 Season Pass for Street Fighter V because I know exactly what's in it. I have absolutely no problem with... I had no problem with buying the Season Pass for Dark Souls 3 because I knew From Software would knock it out of the park with the DLC, and they did. So, but to kind of make a pun on it, Cory Balrog and the devs with God of War, they need to put their money where their mouth is instead of our money where their mouth is.
No, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. And let's move on to the next topic here. Not much to say. Activision Publishing's CEO has stepped down after, what was it, like 8 years of being with the company? Yeah. Not much to say here. Hopefully whoever takes over next isn't going to, you know, completely try to rip us off in the way Activision likes to do.
I wonder whether it was a guilty conscience that made him step down.
Small chance of that, right?
I wonder if he had. I wonder if he leapt out he jumped out his position, but with a golden parachute, so he's going to be wealthy.
I guess there's usually a pretty nice package for you know, CEOs and high-ranking officers in companies like that. They've got like a lot of safety nets and insurance policies. So
yeah,
I wonder whether his resignation letter was in a loot box.
So he accidentally drew that from a loot box and it was like, hey, you helped put together this practice, so yeah, here, eat it.
Yeah, he accidentally resigned. It wasn't an actual. He didn't intend to. He just put some money in the loot box system, and his resignation came out. It's like, that's.
Is there any duplicate? No, it's not a duplicate. I didn't sign before. Yeah, right. Okay. So this next one is for you, RTG. Kick it off.
The highly popular indie game Darkest Dungeon has released on Switch. I'll say a couple of words and I'll pass over to Daniel, who seems a lot more interested in this than me. But it's if I'm not mistaken, it's a very macabre, very dark survival dungeon crawler.
Like a roguelite kind of thing, yeah?
Yeah, a roguelite sort of thing. With a lot of people have said Dark Souls elements, but the moment anyone says that, I'm just like, well, there's your journalistic integrity out the window. Anyone can do the Dark Souls comparison. If you like 8-year-olds with a crayon and a piece of paper could do a Dark Souls comparison. But take it away, Daniel. You seem a lot more interested in Darkest Dungeon than me.
It has a rather good emphasis of insanity and traits that your heroes can pick up as you're adventuring. And what's really cool is the traits are so random. It's so random, and it affects how... And after your like quests to these like dungeons, after you've done that, they're already affected by their previous encounters, so they've got to get cured for it. But they've also got these other side effects and stuff like that. It's just a really fascinating game, and it's very random. It's a very, very random game. When you're adventuring, you can sort of pick up these other random items, and although you don't get equipment for it, you can upgrade equipment, gold and stuff like that. And it's just a very long-term game because the 4 heroes that you start with, later on you have to recruit new heroes because otherwise you won't progress because your other heroes will be all fucked up from... Excuse my language.
No problem. We're not a family-friendly show.
Okay.
I'm on it.
So, Darkest Dungeon, I really want to get back into that game. That reading about that's and hearing Ruben talk about it makes me kind of want to give it another shot, kind of thing. because it is a really good game. I should play it. I should finish it. But it's so difficult. You know, like Ruben said, I mean, it's a kind of tough, unforgiving game. If you fail, for example, if your party gets slaughtered, too bad. You got to like make a new party, start from square one, start grinding in the low level dungeons, and also when even if you've got high level characters, you have to have a break from them and go to a low level dungeon with low level people. But the difficulty is still there because there's just as much threat as them getting killed. You can't put your high level characters in low level dungeons because that could be an exploit. You could just get gold for free that way and grind like that. You can't do that because the actual characters themselves say, "Oh, that's beneath me." I'm not going to do that.
That's pretty cool.
But the low level characters can go into high level dungeons, but that's insane.
It is.
And also, you can control the difficulty, but the reward as well. So say you went into a dungeon and you wanted the hardest challenge possible, even for your level character, you let the torch run down, because there's a torch mechanic. So the brightest torch means that you're safe. So you're safer, rather. Whereas the low level torch light, you'll attract the most nastiest monsters. The most nastiest things happen to you, but you get the nicest rewards. So it's like risk assessment. Yeah, do you want to live dangerously? Maybe you want to live dangerously. Just fuck it, have the torch go out. Then you'll be facing like ridiculous bosses, and stuff like that. But still, that's what makes it fun.
Well, there you have it. I mean, if you were wondering if you have a Switch and you were wondering if you should pick up Darkest Dungeon, there you go. That Daniel just made it intriguing even for myself.
Oh, good. I didn't even know we'd be talking about that today, but now I know. So.
Well, we don't need to expand too much. Apparently, it's a lot of people in the Switch community have been jonesing for this game to be on Switch, and it does sound like a perfect marriage. I will, however, say that it's been a bit of a complaint on the Nintendo Switch subreddit that the text in handheld mode is very, very small, and it's very difficult sometimes to read. So some people have been comparing it to Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, that had very small text. I don't know, Ruben, did you have this kind of experience?
Oh, I just hated that game from pretty much every possible level. But yeah, the font was really tiny on that game.
Mm. So you had to glue your face on the TV or some shit like that.
Well, you want to talk about small text, small font sizes? How about Dead Rising 1, the original?
Never played it. I've never played a Dead Rising, so yeah.
The text size was so ridiculous.
Oh.
You had to literally be like, okay, read, and there was no audio to what people were talking about.
Anyway,
yeah, that was abysmal. But anyway,
abysmal stuff aside, PUBG doesn't want to do a lot of abysmal stuff because they've decided that, hey, we don't like cheaters, and we've banned 100,000 cheaters in one fell swoop. So just like that, they take 100,000 cheaters, they just kick them out of the game. No questions asked, right over there. I will say, good game, Bluehole, good game. We need more acts like that in the multiplayer world of gaming.
Yeah, agreed. And 100,000 people banned out of the 3 million plus that are playing it. That's a drop in the water.
Yeah. Bye. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, indeed. But see, here's the thing, though. I mean, take World of Warcraft as an example, okay? World of Warcraft used to have an absurd amount of players, and it still has an absurd amount of players. But Blizzard was always very hesitant to ban large numbers of cheaters because that game was riddled with them at times. They were just very hesitant to do that. But it seems like Bluehole here is like, I'm not having none of that. I'm just kicking them off like that.
Good.
Which I guess is like they're not too worried about how bad a press that might create for them, I guess, with certain players. But I guess, yeah, good game. That's all I have to say. Right, let's move on to the next topic. RTG, this is yours.
Yep, so, back to Square Enix. Or specifically, Naoki Yoshida has announced that they're in talks with Xbox. Square Enix are in talks with Microsoft and Nintendo to bring Final Fantasy XIV to the Xbox One and the Switch, which is interesting because there currently isn't, not over here anyway, I think there is in Japan, but there isn't an MMO currently on the Switch. Not a proper MMO, at least. And it's... yeah, I mean, I don't know quite how they're going to do it. Plus, also, I would like to know how they're going to do it in terms of what aspects they're bringing across. Because on PS4 at the moment, you can get the complete collection, you can get the kind of basics one, you can get the basics one, then all of the expansions, because there's 3 expansions now as well. So I would like to, I mean, I would have thought they'd bring the complete collection over, but that is quite a lot of content for a Switch at the very least. But then again, it's got Xenoblade 2, so I guess that's not too much of a, but I don't know, I don't think Nintendo's online interface is actually compatible at this point with an MMO.
I have a different concern on this as well. It's how is storage gonna work? I mean, this is an MMO. It's an ever-expanding universe. There are patches that go into these games that actually add significant content at times. How is that gonna work? I mean, I don't know what the maximum you can get out of a cart on the Switch is right now, but right now, a lot of people are buying like 32 gig, 64 gig, maybe a few are getting 128. So, yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing if they really want to bring it to the Switch. But, yeah, playing an MMO first on my screen and then in bed, I mean, I don't know. That could actually sway me. Right.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, the chances are it will come with a online pass like it has on PS4.
Could be, yeah. But again, we'll have to see how storage is going to work. I mean, that's going to be the interesting thing here. All right, let's go to the final thing before we jump into our big discussion on Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. A new Fable is reportedly being developed by Playground Games, the people responsible for Forza Horizon. Fable has been MIA for quite a long time, and it's been a very huge fan favorite for those who had the Xbox 360 back in the day. So yeah, it would be great if this game actually came back. I remember hearing a lot of great things about it, especially the first one.
It's I played the original Fable for, I think it was an hour or so on my friend's Xbox 360, and I hate the only issue I had, I mean, I enjoyed playing the game, but I hated the Xbox 360 control pad, so I had massive issues playing that game, because I was like, this is so horrible to hold. But the game itself interested me, and I liked its aesthetic overall, so its art style and its comedy and stuff like that. I thought that was really good. My only concern is the devs of Forza Horizon. So is that going to mean microtransactions and stuff like that, which would fundamentally underline a game like Fable?
Ooh, that there's a high probability over there. What about you, Daniel? Have you ever played a Fable game?
Yeah, I played like Fable 3, I think. I find it so... it's not my cup of tea.
It wasn't your cup of tea. Not excited for this announcement, then.
It's too easy. It was too easy.
Too easy?
It was definitely a game that wasn't for me. Let's put it that way.
Well,
it wasn't for me.
I remember it had some kind of mechanic about, you could do good acts or bad acts. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It had one of those incredibly reductive good-evil systems.
Reductive. Okay.
Well, it boils down good and evil to such stupid, like, polar opposites. It's like another one which annoyed me for that was Infamous. And like, there's a point in Infamous where there's a guy that's been like hung up by his leg on a lamppost or something, for a lamppost or something, and like people are beating him with sticks, and like your choice is shoot the rope so the guy falls down and is safe, or shoot the guy. I'm like, that's not how good and evil works. It's not I save the guy or I kill the guy. That's so reductive. And Fable was the same. It was very reductive in its good and evil. But I don't know, I think with the comedy in the game it kind of worked, but because Infamous was trying to be too serious and messed up Good and Evil, whereas Fable was just a jovial trip through the woods. So yeah, I guess it worked to a certain extent, but I still find Good and Evil mechanics really, really poorly fleshed out.
Yeah, they need to do better jobs with that, but hopefully they try to do something a little more elaborate this time with the new Fable. Okay, and that's going to be our news roundup from last week. If you got anything to say about these news bits, please sound off in the comment section below. And now it's time for the main event, our big discussion on Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. Now, the way this is going to work is I'm going to be throwing questions at my co-hosts over here, starting off with Daniel each time, and I'm going to chime in as well. So, first question, just so everybody's up to speed with everything. Daniel, what has changed in Arcade Edition from vanilla Street Fighter V?
Well, there's been some fundamental changes to balance the game and make it a bit more fair and reasonable. So, for example, there's the obvious changes like the new modes, the new look. It's got new music, new team battle mode. It's also got things like fundamental changes like when you cancel into V-trigger, it scales twice as much, so that when you continue a combo, the combo is scaled, hence making the game more balanced. Because what you'll find with the original is someone would hit you with a combo, cancel into V-trigger, then continue the combo, and it does massive damage. Whereas on this version, if they do that, they can still do that, but it's going to be scaled more, so it will do less damage.
Okay.
So that makes it more fair. So you have to focus more on skillful gameplay, like resetting your combos and stuff like that, or raw activation, which wasn't really a thing in the original version, but now is a thing now. What I mean by raw activation is not using it in a combo, it's just using it outside of a combo, so you can get full potential from it. And in addition, they've added a new V trigger to every single character. So now people like me who play Street Fighter really seriously have got to learn about every single other character's V-trigger and what it does and how people use it and the tricks that they use with it. And it's it's a lot to work on. I mean, I'm studying it now. Look, I've got a book. And
is that volume 2 of the Dillips notes?
The Dillips notes from last time have returned in a new form.
Volume 2, right there.
I better throw that away and start again, basically. It's mainly on my character and what my character can do now because my character's Rashid and he used to as his V trigger. Press it and then get a projectile, but now he can cancel that and then do other things. He's got more options, but I won't go too much in depth of my character. But what's changed from vanilla? Basically, new V triggers. It's scaling more when you activate the V triggers. But also throws have an additional active frame. Now, I'm afraid this is going to veer into the technical side, so I won't talk about that so much. But basically, it's easier to connect with throw, but it's also they've made it so that all throws there's something called throw loops, which basically means when you throw someone, you could walk up and then throw them again, unless they jump or something like that. So now, when you throw someone in a corner, for example, you can't just walk up and throw them again because you'll be at a disadvantage. So it's fairer. So basically, when you throw someone, it resets the situation. It's like, okay, I'll take that bit of damage so that they can't keep applying pressure to me. Whereas it used to be the case where they'd throw you, they'd run up, they'd throw you, and then it'd be a nightmare. You'd have to tech it, which is risky in itself because if they do a different move, you get hit. But yeah.
Right. And there's a whole slew of new single-player content. Have you been getting into that at all, RTG?
Yeah. In fact, I've been doing that more than I've been doing the online, obviously.
Right.
So there's the arcade mode, obviously. That's where Arcade Edition comes from, I'm assuming, unless they've just pulled the name out by complete happenstance. There's the extra battle mode, of which one of them is really, really fun. The other one is irritating as all hell. There's the team battle, as Dillips has already mentioned, which I haven't been able to play yet because I am just one man, and therefore I can't do a team battle on my own. But I'm looking forward to playing some of those when I'm down in Brighton. Trying to think what else. I mean, survival mode has moved, but who really liked that in the first place? It's such a horrible survival mode. I don't know why they didn't just change it, because it wasn't a very well designed survival mode.
No, it wasn't.
Dillips looks like he was going to rebel against what I said, but I don't mean it's a bad survival mode. I mean, relatively to other fighting games, it was really awfully implemented. Because just so many other fighting games did survival mode better. So the fact they didn't do anything to that is a thing. But the thing that I'm most appreciating at the moment is just the small quality of life changes in Street Fighter Arcade Edition. So like all of the UI is now just a bit brighter and a little bit bolder. So it's easier to keep track of what's going on the screen, because the bars along the bottom stand out so much more against the action, as opposed to blending in a little bit like they did in vanilla. The fact that in the shop now you can actually see all of the colours of outfits, so you can actually make a call as to whether you do want to buy that costume without having to go on to Google image search and looking at all of the colours of any given costume. CFN's still an absolute nightmare and really should have been resolved, but it hasn't. But yeah, I've been mostly playing the arcade mode, and the arcade mode is exquisite. Because I've mostly been playing the Street Fighter 3 one, just because it has remixes of the Street Fighter 3 music as I'm playing. And we all know by now, surely, that I would much rather play Street Fighter 3 than I would play Street Fighter 5. So to be able to play Street Fighter 5 and have Street Fighter 3 music, happy as Larry me. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the extra battle to be continuing, because they're introducing the Golden Shadaloo Soldier event as well, which is coming next week, I believe. It's been delayed. The Rashid outfit one was really, really fun. I had a lot of fun doing that one. Plus, also, he looks amazing as Beautiful Joe.
Yeah.
And the Shinakuma one can do one. But yeah, I've played... Now that there are single-player editions, I found myself playing Street Fighter 5 more, because before I'd find myself either going online to play Battle Lounge matches with you guys, or going on ranked for as long as it took me to get so repulsed with myself at being on ranked that I had to stop playing. But now I've actually got a reason to play the game. And having a reason to play the game is going to mean that naturally, by default, I'm going to improve anyway, because I'm going to be playing the game. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, single-player edition is a good thing.
An additional change I'd like to mention is on training mode. They've now got the frame data at the top left and the top right, which basically, not only is it text, so it's like, oh, +2, I'm +2 now, but also it has a bar which basically runs out. I think it's after 10 frames, the bar empties, and then you can see, oh, that's the recovery of the guard or the hit coming down. So then it's your turn. But also, there's an option to enable this colour mode, basically where your character glows. If they're glowing red, it means that they're not going to recover in time, and the other person's blue, it means they recover first. So say, for example, Rashid does his standing medium punch, for example, and the opponent blocks, they'll be turning red because it's not their turn after they've finished their block stun. It's my turn because I'm +3, so therefore I glow blue. And that's a good tool. I mean, if you just go in training mode and think, oh, is Ed's charged up heavy punch? Is that plus or minus on block? I don't know. Let's try it out in the training mode. Do it. Oh, he goes blue. Well, in this case, wait a minute, he's red, so he loses his turn. So
yeah, he's minus, and he's at disadvantage.
So basically, you'll know because he glows red. So you know. Also, if an Ed does that to you and you block, it's your turn.
It's a very good tool.
That's a great feature.
It's a great feature. It's a great tool for players who are trying to step up their game and they're trying to figure out what is killing them online. Because that's the biggest thing about these games, is that they don't really give you a lot of indication as to what is like at advantage and what is not. I still think that the game overall needs, and this is kind of tying over into like what do we feel about these single player improvements and all that, which was the next question. Basically, I still feel that these games need to have some live indication of what is at advantage and what is not, because games generally should be mostly training you while you're playing, not while you're in some kind of lab or training room to do these things. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, I think it's still a great addition right over there. And so is arcade mode. I think arcade mode is pretty brilliant as well. I agree with RTG on that. It's really, really well executed. And I like all the new extra battle events. Yeah?
When I play arcade mode, I feel rewarded for doing so. So I get artwork. I know people go, well, big deal. Big deal. It's one picture on the screen. But it's something. And there's a lot of characters in these battle modes. Because you've got arcade mode, Street Fighter 1, where all the Street Fighter 1 characters, well, not all of them, but the Street Fighter 1 characters are Street Fighter 2 characters. And the story is basically with those individual characters. So there's a lot of artwork to unlock, and it's bloody good artwork as well.
Yeah, I mean, some of the because there's artwork in it, if I'm not mistaken, from it is kind of fan art. But some of it is so high quality. Some of that fan art is just incredible. And yeah, I'm the same as Dillips. I actually feel rewarded for playing arcade mode. But also, arcade mode can occasionally be quite challenging. Some of the, I mean, it's probably just me, but because I'm a low tier hero. But it feels like on occasion that some of the AI is actually quite good.
Shinakuma.
Oh, Shinakuma can do one. I'm not attempting that extra battle again. I'm not wasting the fight money.
But did you know that if you do well in arcade mode, you fight Shinakuma? So it's not just our extra battle mode.
Okay, so I'm clearly not doing well in arcade mode.
Well, are you playing it on hard? Are you playing it on hard?
No, of course I'm not playing it on hard. What do you think I am?
Well, do that. Play it on hard. The thing is, yeah, I know how to beat Shinakuma, but it's with a certain character makes it slightly easier. On that challenge in particular, if you play as Manat, you can just reflect his fireballs back, and it makes it so much easier. Although sometimes he just jumps over and does his super and hits you.
Yeah, I tried that. As per your advice, I tried that. I spent a lot of fight money trying to make that happen. I am not doing that anymore. I still couldn't do it even with Manat's Reflect. I really, really got very patient with it. I was like, I gotta get the timings down. But he pissed me off so much. I'm done. It's not worth it for just that stupid title. It's not.
Yeah.
More power to anybody who's doing it.
Yeah. But the fact is, Shinakuma is also in arcade mode as an extra challenger, and you have one attempt, and if you fail, well, you can't retry. You'd have to play through it again and hopefully get Shinakuma. I think you have to get like a perfect KO with CA, maybe. I haven't looked on the internet for the answer. I don't want to know. I just want to do it organically, you know.
To be fair, that sounds right, because there was a similar thing for fighting the Demon Akuma thingy in Street Fighter 4, wasn't there? There was a weird prerequisite you had to fulfill to be able to fight him at the end. I can't remember his name because I don't like Street Fighter 4, so I've forgotten the name of that character immediately.
Maybe Evil Ryu?
No, it wasn't Evil Ryu. Oni. It was Oni. Yes. Oh. But he was the kind of secret boss in Street Fighter 4, and you had to complete certain prerequisites to unlock him, and it's probably the same with Shinakuma. So the chances are I'm never going to see him. But that's fine by me. The further away from me he is, the better I am. So that's fine. But arcade mode's great.
Yeah, and the thing about this Oni extra battle thing is that it's actually content that changes up and gets players to come back and try their hand at something that is not necessarily ranked online. Because that can get very tiring for people who are not that invested in the game, like Dillips might be, or like some enthusiasts like myself are. It's something for people to do that is more game sort of thing rather than a competitive kind of thing. So I'm really praising this for this extra battle, for adding this extra battle. I mean, I'm praising them for arcade mode, but I'm even more praising them for extra battle, and I hope they're really going to put a lot of effort into the challenges there, because that's going to be their bread and butter with the casual audience.
It's going to draw people back. That's what it
Exactly.
needs. Not just changing daily challenges, extra battle mode.
Exactly. These are my thoughts on that. Right.
And the
Next question.
Sorry.
Okay, finish up.
Oh no, I was going to say the music as well has changed, and that has made playing the battles and when you win or lose, you get like there's different music now, and it sounds more like oh, you lost, but don't worry about it because it was a fun game. You kind of get that kind of vibe from it.
I don't know if I get that vibe very often, but yeah,
no,
right.
more so than before. So basically, I feel like it's just more fun, and I still get salty. Don't get me wrong, I still get salty if I lose like ranked matches. Like, it's still very salt-inducing, but it's a bit better now.
You get salty too, Dillips? I did not know that.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I've even got salty in some offline tournaments, very occasionally, but
See, Super Diamond players get salty too, guys. You heard it here first. Right, moving on. So we've got a brand new character. Well, brand new. She's part of the universe, for many, many years, but she's new to the game, and she's free for a short period of time, just like they did with Alex way back when in Season 1. Sakura, what do you guys think of Sakura? Let's start with Daniel.
She's okay. I mean, I haven't really been a big fan of Sakura, but I like the way she's got a carefree personality, and her youthful exuberance comes through in the game. And when she throws you, for example, she just goes like that, or she just goes like that. And she's got a very sort of I don't know, and the music sort of helps. Like when you're fighting against Laura, for example, it's a very stressful, irritating theme, and she's an irritating character. But with Sakura, it's a very relaxing theme. Like she's just doing her thing, kind of thing. And she looks weak, obviously, because she's a young girl. But she's actually got some annoying moves. She's got some excellent normals though, which is better than Laura, so she can anti-air really well with a crouching heavy punch, and a standing heavy punch I think is really good as well. I think her combos are really good.
It's all about that standing low kick, man. It's all about that standing low kick. At the neutral, at least.
And she's fun. I like the way her V skill just jumps up and then goes down. She can choose whether she just goes like that and then goes down immediately, or goes like that, delay, and then kick down. I think her V skill is quite good. Or you can throw instead. So she's got a good way of building V gauge with her V skill.
I think her V skill is going to be more of her, because see, this is the thing is, it's exactly Sakura is giving me the same vibe that I used to have about Ryu when the game first launched, is that Sakura is an easy to learn, hard to master kind of character. And I think her V skill is the kind of tool that will actually push the character to a more advanced, kind of stuff. Because it's not I don't think it's very good as it is. If you're using it raw and stuff, you have to really be careful at what angle you do the dive kick. Because when you hit above the belt, she's actually minus. You can jab her, and it will hit. She can't block after it. But if you hit in the toes, you could get counter hits and stuff. This is getting a little advanced, but I think that's the point of her V skill, is that we're giving you a lot of stuff that is very easy, because she's got very easy hit confirms and stuff and combos. But the V skill, you're gonna have to really play with it to really elevate the character further and to elevate your own skills. I don't know if you got the same vibe, Daniel.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. It's I won't quite go too much into depth on that, because that's a topic a bit later on, but I see what you... Yes, I understand what you're saying.
What about you, RTG? Did you give Sakura a spin at all?
I didn't like her. But then again, I don't tend to like Shotos. So, I don't like Ryu, I don't like Ken. Just about the only kind of Shoto-like character I've ever really liked is Shawn in Street Fighter 3. But she's really irritating to fight against. But that being said, love her aesthetic, love her design, love her stage, love her music.
Yeah.
As an aesthetic object, Sakura is incredible. Her redesign is literally spot on. giving her maturity whilst still keeping her quite youthful. Her music, as Dillips has already mentioned earlier, is quite calming, which in a game like Street Fighter V, quite a lot of the music is relying way too much on kind of heavy electronica, and it doesn't really suit the way the game is played for the most part. Because the game is quite dodging related, it seems. When you watch High Level, they're constantly away from each other, kind of jumping in occasionally to do things, but that means that heavy electronica is not really suited to a game that's played as defensively as Street Fighter V normally is at higher level. If you compare that to Street Fighter 3, where because of the parry system, it was all about aggression. Get in there, parry, punish. And the music was very high tempo and kind of hip-hop related, and that worked. Whereas Street Fighter V, some of the themes work, some of the themes really don't. Like, I don't think Laura's theme works with the way the game's played, really. Whereas, like, Karin's theme works really well. Sakura's theme works really well. I think Chun's theme, the Bustling Side Street theme, works well in round 1, but not in round 2. But yeah, the music hasn't really settled properly, whereas I think Sakura's theme works really, really well. In fact, Ed's theme works okay, because it's still quite low tempo whilst being aggressive, so it works out all right, but it's still not great. But as an aesthetic thing, I absolutely love Sakura, but she's never going to be a character I'm going to play.
I like her charging fireballs.
They're very sweet.
I just like that generally. Yeah.
Well, I might be jumping the gun here, but I'm probably going to call new main with Sakura, at least until Cody is out, which is the character I'm most excited for. But I'm surprised that I picked up Sakura and I've taken to her quite a bit. So I think that I might actually stick with her for a while, see how that goes.
I mean, I will say that Akibana that Colleen's V-Trigger 2, I've been playing some ranked matches with someone that plays a Colleen, and I think V-Trigger 2 is excellent for Colleen.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've played a few Colleens online. It's kind of bananas. I think I might even revisit that a bit. Also, Chun's seems to be working out very nicely, which was a character that I went back to recently-ish. So yeah, I might play around, but I think Sakura is kind of fitting, and I, like you guys have mentioned, her music is very calming, her attitude's very nice, so I kind of feel like, yeah, maybe I could just take my time with this game and build up this character and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, like, also, just for anyone at home, Colleen's second V-Trigger is where she skates. She skates across the ground, and she's really fast.
That's gonna fit her ice skating costume.
Yeah, this is really appropriate.
Really cool. Right, so we're going to very briefly talk about this, but I do feel like we do need to talk about it a little bit. How do you feel that the changes to the balance are going to or have affected the game? Dillips, this is probably mostly your territory, so yeah, we're just going to hand it off to you.
So, where do I begin? I'll begin with my character, because it's just easier to talk about. So the changes they've made fundamentally to my character is the changes to my crouching heavy punch. So they've slowed it down by 1 frame, and they've reduced the plus on hit. So basically, from both ends, nerfed my character's move just a bit. I think it's fair enough, because people are complaining about that move being... people abusing it all the time. What they've also done is they've also changed the hurt box to extend outwards. So basically it makes it easier for you to hit him out of it, which is fair because people were exploiting that move. What else have they changed? They've said that they've nerfed standing light kick to basically make it so that you get knocked further away. But I've played it and I haven't had to make any changes to my strings at all. So they obviously haven't changed it that much. I think it's more to do with being airborne. And they've also removed my throw loop. So I used to be able to, in the corner, throw my opponent, dash forward, and throw again. And if they pressed a 3-frame normal, they'd get thrown. If they didn't tech, they'd get thrown. The only thing they could do is really jump back or tech. But I could always run up, and then shimmy. Or I could run up, press a light punch, and then back off or throw. So they've removed that, so that's fair. So I have to think more intelligently about how I'm going to approach after I've thrown. They've made it easier to anti-air with the intended anti-air buttons. So no longer will you see me pressing standing light kick to anti-air, or, you know, some characters standing light punch and stuff like that. Or some characters crouching light punch could be used as an anti-air. So you won't see that as much from characters like Bison and characters like Guile even. They have to use their intended anti-air buttons. And also they've adjusted my jumping attacks. So for example, my jumping heavy punch used to be I could really exploit that. They've moved the hitbox up and my hurtbox down. So it's easier for people to anti-air me out of that, which is fair because other characters share the same, heavy attacks. They've also fixed Bison's Devil's Reverse. What I mean by that is head stomp. So when they did the EX head stomp, if you try to anti-air it, most likely the EX head stomp would win. So you'd have to block it and then be at a disadvantage, and then he'll be like all across the screen coming down. So now I can, with my heavy spinning mixer, which is my intended anti-air button, I can stuff him out of that. So they've really made good changes there. They've changed Laura's. I could go through it, but they've changed Laura's feature.
Let's not go through all of them, but very notable stuff.
Basically, they've kind of made Laura's V-Trigger 1 to be more difficult to obtain. Generally, I'm trying to think of other ones. They've made Ryu stronger so he can connect with more of his moves. They've made Fang stronger, they could connect more of his moves. Basically, I could go on for ages. Basically, they've made the weaker characters a bit stronger and have more tools, and have the second V-Trigger is often much better than their old one. And they've made the strongest characters, aka Bulldog, weaker. So I feel they have listened to the feedback and to the way people have been winning, and they have made adjustments to make it fairer, but not, they haven't nerfed people to the ground. They've kind of brought other people up rather than bringing people down. Although Bulldog players may argue with that,
Right. That's something that a lot of people have been wanting, like, weaker characters to get stronger and stronger characters to get a little weaker. I did hear, however, that some characters that were strong actually got stronger. Is that the case? AKA Abigail?
Oh, well, I don't think Abigail's so strong, but I'm a Rashid player, so what do I know? My character counters that character.
I know Ruben and I have had a lot of problems with Abigail, right, Ruben?
When you see Abigail launch back like that to do his V-Trigger 2, just, if you can, throw him. Or, if you must, if it's too late, you just have to take the damage. It's a 3-bar V-Trigger. It's a 3-bar V-Trigger, okay? He's not going to get 2 lots of them. I mean, he's not going to get 2 lots of 3 bars. I think you just have to accept that you're going to get hit by that. So you're going to have to, in your mind, reserve a bit of your health bar for the V-Trigger. And it's far better that he charges at you and causes a guard break than him hitting you raw. Because after guard break, his combos scale massively.
Nice.
It's a difference between night and day. Don't be afraid of being hit by that. It's okay. You'll be okay if you've got enough health. You'll be okay. It's much better than the alternative. That's why people are having trouble with him.
Well, it's until it gets figured out, I guess.
I mean, but you're right. Abigail wasn't nerfed at all. He was made better. In fact, his jab has got better.
Oh god, I hate that move so much. Well, overall, it just seems like these balance changes are hopefully going to make the game a little more ground game, footsies based than it used to be. Not so much mindless jumping in and stuff, but it remains to be seen, I guess. I'm going to throw this next question to RTG because I'm mostly interested in hearing from a more casual player's perspective of this. Do you think that the overall AE update was a positive thing for the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I'd just leave that hanging there. Well, to kind of bring in the balance changes as well, into the reason I think that's a thing, I reckon that the VT2, the second V-Triggers, have fundamentally altered the game as a positive thing for both sides of people who would be fans of this game. For the higher players, such as Dillips, the additional V-trigger will have warranted and gained an extra challenge for that player in terms of dealing with any set character. Because now, if a character is picked, there are two different ways that that character could potentially be played. Because some of the V-triggers are like worlds apart in terms of what they do. Some of them, V-trigger 1 and V-trigger 2, are very similar, like Zeku. But with certain characters, like Ed, for instance, V-trigger 1 and V-trigger 2 changes the way that he would be played. And various other characters have the same sort of thing. Like Birdie, for instance, he's V-trigger 1 and V-trigger 2. Quite worlds apart. So for the more experienced players, it's going to give an additional challenge in terms of how to deal with their opponent based on the V-trigger, as well as the character. Whereas if you go down to my tier and the more casual player of Street Fighter V, it's actually made it more accessible to us, because now we have additional tools at our disposal, which we may actually, like for instance I am with Ed, I'm much more comfortable with V-trigger 2 than I ever was with V-trigger 1. I find it that I can use it better, I find that I use it more effectively, and I'm more clever when I use it, as opposed to V-trigger 1, which I was a lot more panicked in using, because I didn't really know, no matter how long I played him for and how much I played him, I could never work out a fail-safe way to make that V-trigger useful to me. Whereas V-trigger 2, I can actually figure out ways that that will be useful to me, and I can use it very instinctively when I need to. Like, for instance, playing against your Sakura, I can work out the best time to use that V-trigger. So rather than wasting the V-trigger like I used to do, I now use it a lot more conservatively, and that benefits me to do that. So I think the player base have been brought a little bit closer together by the AE update, which is a great thing, because there's going to be a lot of people coming into Street Fighter new now that need that boost, because other people are 2 years ahead of them. They need that little boost to be able to compete with the whole player base. The other thing that I enjoy about it is the fact that the aesthetic alterations make the aesthetic and the kind of QOL and the mode updates and additions make this finally, after 2 years, feel like a complete game. And that is, albeit it's taken them 2 years to get there, but the product we've got at the end of it is actually a stellar product. With a few issues I have with Street Fighter V, like for instance quite a lot of characters having the lack of defensive options that I'm used to, because I'm used to playing anime fighters where everyone has copious defensive options to get them out of trouble, which I use a lot because I'm not very good. But they're there, whereas Street Fighter V doesn't have them. But this new update, the new modes, the new balance changes, the new VTs, all of that is now making this game actually rank quite highly with me in terms of my overall ranking of current fighting games in circulation. Whereas it was not bottom of the barrel, but it was pretty damn low. Essentially, everything that's been changed in AE makes me want to play it, and that is beyond that. That's the greatest compliment I can give it.
Indeed, I mean, the greatest compliment we could give any game is to give it our time, right? Dillips, do you want to add something to this? Your own thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's the V-trigger too, like Ruben said, adds so much more complex. Not complex, it doesn't sound very good, complexity. It adds more depth, let's put it that way, to the choices that you can make. And also, if you rank up, if you go online and play random person, you can actually choose which V-trigger to use. So, and you're told about which character the opponent's picked. So basically, you can say, well, I know V-trigger, I usually use V-trigger 2, but actually V-trigger 1 works best in this matchup. I'll choose V-trigger 1. That was one of my fears going into this game, that, oh, you just have to pick your V-trigger, and no matter what, that's what you have to stick with. But I'm glad you can actually give a choice before you play a random person online.
It was like that with Street Fighter 4, right? You could pick the Ultra you wanted after Super Street Fighter 4. I did the same thing with Chun-Li. I would pick Ultra 1 because it was better against Fireball characters, and Ultra 2 for anyone who was usually in my face. What were you going to say, RTG?
But even that can lead to kind of more complicated scenarios, because you can see the character they've picked, but you can't see the VT they've picked. So if you're up against a character where their VTs are dramatically different, so let's just say if I was going up against Birdie, I would not want to use Enhanced Snatcher, because his range on his command throws with his chain, and also on VT2, the range of his chain when he's using it as a weapon are further than the Enhanced Snatcher, or he would be able to zone me out using his own chain. So I'd pick VT1, but then I could go up against a character like, I don't know, Chun-Li, and depending on which VT they used, I could be screwed, or I could be at an advantage, and it gives that additional. It's a wonderful thing to be able to go into a fight and go, and the first thing you do is look at that corner. You look at the bottom right corner or the bottom left corner and see what VT they've got, because then you have to work out a strategy from there. It's good that that's now in it, because you're not making strategies from the character versus screen. You're having to wait until you're in it to decide how you're going to approach it. And that just, as Dillips actually chose the perfect word for it, it adds so much depth to the game.
It's perfect. I think it's great that they're doing this. I think overall that the AE update was very positive. The thing I want to add about second V-triggers, and this is mostly coming from what Ruben was saying about him finding a V-trigger with his character that speaks to him, is that it kind of starts to reduce a little bit this idea we have about 5 that it doesn't allow the player to express themselves. Whereas I think these V-triggers will actually give us something, like, even if you're not a high-level player, you can find something with your favorite character that really, like, helps with your play style. I know that I like Sakura's VT2, although I'm hearing that VT1 might be better in some senses, but I like the idea that VT2 opens up easier combos for me, because I'm not very good with combos. So here we are, like, this is something that kind of, like, you know, it's another thing that we can use to express ourselves, quote-unquote, within the game. Right, so I'm guessing we're all in agreement that Capcom should do more updates like this, right?
The standard, yes.
Yeah.
This kind of standard, yeah, absolutely. But with that in mind, Dillips, what do you think Capcom should focus on improving in the future?
Well, I would like them to focus on, when they release new characters, to make sure it's needed, balanced. I think they should do I think they're at the sort of standard now. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, just continue doing what they're doing. It's going so well now. I would fear them changing too much would be negative, because I think it's such a high at the moment. I would like for the favourite character thing to be done away with, and instead, when you join a ranked match or casual match, you pick your character like you would instead. And if you don't want to make it so it's long load times, which have actually improved, the load times are actually dramatically better now than it was before, have a maybe more basic character select screen. I don't know if you really want that to be the case.
Or give us the option, like, we could choose to have a favorite character, or we want to go into character select. So maybe that kind of reduces some of the wait times, yeah?
Yeah, and maybe an additional mode, training mode, where you see the hit boxes and hurt boxes. I'd like to see that.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of high-level players will want to see that as well. Agreed. RTG, what would you like to see Capcom work on improving in the future?
Sort out CFN. It's a mess. It's hard to navigate. It's hard to navigate, and it doesn't appear to have as many functions as it looks like it should do. It should not be that difficult to navigate CFN. It shouldn't be that difficult for me to find. I shouldn't have to go, like, look myself up in Rival Search to find a replay of a match I just fought in, and then save that replay, and then go out of the menu I was just in and into the replay menu to watch the replay.
But have you seen? No, there's a new change. That's one of the changes, Ruben. You can actually go into your battle settings. Like, you can press X, I think it is, and look at the battle lounge or ranked matches or casual matches. Press on it, and it says view replay now. It never used to.
Okay, that's a good idea.
That's pretty good, yeah.
So they've altered one thing I wanted to do. But yeah, CFN's a nightmare. in terms of battle lounges, I'm glad you brought that up. That is a horrible, horrible setup. Sort out battle lounges, Capcom. Every other fighting game does battle lounges and kind of player matches better than you. Sort it out. Just sort it out. All you need is to have decent features. Don't have that awful sub-menu system, which doesn't work, because everyone's just like, what do I do now? It looks too cluttered. There's too much going on the screen. That kind of thing down the right-hand side, which shows all the battles that have been happening, that doesn't need to be there. Free that space up for others to expand the stuff you've got and make it easier to see and easier to navigate. That it's not hard. Come on. I had one more thing I wanted them to change, and I can't remember what it is.
I might be able to remind you. I think I know what it is.
Go.
Right. So I think what you might be referring to, I remember when you set up a battle lounge for me, because you wanted some games or something. I can't remember the exact scenario. But you was like, okay, my battle lounge is, right, okay, so we'll set it to character select on, blah, blah, blah. And the password is this. And you told me the password. And then I go to search for your lounge, and then search. And it says password. And I think, okay, well, now I type in, oh no, wait, there's two options. Password. There's set and not set. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So to find your lounge, I've got to go, oh yes, he set a password. And then it comes up with all the lounges that have got a password in it. And I've got to search through every single one to find your one. No, I couldn't find your one because there's loads of people playing with passwords. Why didn't it say password? And then you type in the password, as long as it's unique to that lounge, and then it joins your lounge, rather than set or not set. I'm like, what the fuck? And you was like, when I was telling you, Ruben, this, he was like, oh no, just type in the password, it's this. And I was just like, what? I don't know if that was the thing he was going to mention. But...
Well, it's not the thing I was going to mention, but like if you compare that to Guilty Gear, to use an example of a good player match kind of scenario, where you create a room, you choose how many people are allowed in the room and how many setups there's going to be. So for instance, you can have an 8-person room that has 4 setups, so you can have 4 matches running all the time, which is a great idea. Or you can just have 8 players, 2 setups, so you can choose to spectate if you want to, or you can just sit back and play football in the lounge, which you can do. But you can invite people to the lounge, or you can share with them the room key, the room ID, and they just enter that room ID and it puts them straight into the room. Simple. The only thing I hate about Revelator is that it has this character select. It doesn't have character select in lounges, which really irritates me. So you have to change your character before you go into matches, which is really annoying. That's the only issue I have. Otherwise, I think Guilty Gear's lounges are fantastic. But the thing is, there is something else in AE I wanted to say that I'd like them to change, and I can't remember what it is.
Oh God! You're gonna remember when it's all over.
Well, I'm gonna keep on with this whole, because I think that is going to be the big thing that I think that Capcom needs to focus on is the online stuff. CFN, friends list, all of this. We're in 2018 with so many games out there that are of a lower quality and have much better online tools and social tools for players to work with. And I think that Capcom really needs to put all of their focus on that and make CFN more like a proper social network for Capcom, for Street Fighter V. Like, give us the ability to be able to really have this social interaction with people in the game. You don't want us chatting, but that's fine. Give us more tools to express ourselves with others, maybe to share replays with our friends within the game. Stuff like that should be done very easily, I believe.
Well, how about an option like I select a friend and say invite to Battle Lounge, and then when I press it, immediately go to Battle Lounge.
Exactly, yeah, that easy QOL, quality of life stuff like that is what I would like to see from CFN in the future. And on top of that, I don't know if it's been fixed or added or whatever, but I would like to see replays for offline matches. Like, give us the ability to save an offline replay like we used to have, if I remember correctly, in 4.
I mean, you can view replays, like, as soon as you're done with them, you can press view replay.
Oh, there's that.
I'm not sure if you can save it. Another thing, what was it? Oh, God, what was it? I had something really important I wanted to say, and I think it's kind of faded from... Team Battle Mode. So, that looks really good. I haven't tried it out yet, but hopefully because it's an offline-only mode at the moment, hopefully local fighting game scenes can implement that in some tournaments. Shout out to Harukin, who hopefully will do that soon.
I'm pretty sure Victor would be up for doing that. And if he's not and he's listening, get on that, buddy. Get on that. Right.
I'm prepared to be carried by my team. And also I've remembered the thing I wanted them to change.
Go ahead.
Well.
Yes.
Ranked.
Yes.
I am currently ranked bronze, as Akibana knows, because I had an awful night the other night in terms of hemorrhaging LP. But I'm in bronze. Therefore, really, because I'm in bronze, I am well above rookie. So don't put me against rookie players, or if you do, put me against the rookie players that are close to ranking up. And I'm way below the super bronze about to rank up to ultra bronze, you arseholes, so don't put me against them either. So give me people around my level. That's what ranked is bloody for. Don't put me with people a lot lower or a lot higher than me, because of course I'm not going to progress. Because there's a reason I'm in bronze, and there's a reason why I've hemorrhaged 250 points, and that's because you keep putting me against these people. There needs to be a more intelligent algorithm involved in this. There needs to be.
Yeah.
Since the update, since the update, I found that I've been ranked with either Diamond or Super Diamond players, or sometimes Ultra, but Ultra Diamond. So it's been, for me, it's been quite. I mean, I'm Super Diamond. It's kind of okay. I think acceptable. But it used to annoy me pre-patch when I used to be ranked with. I used to be matchmade with platinum players. I mean, I'm only saying it like that because I would lose so many points if I lost to them. You know, so I think at the moment for me, as a Super Diamond player, I'm ranked fairly. I'm matched up fairly with people. So far so good, but I'll have to. Only time will tell whether that continually lasts. But so, Ruben, you're saying better matchmaking,
better matchmaking would be fun. Would be like, even if it was just against a lower level super bronze. But the fact that almost all my matches, when I had my significant lose streak, were against people that were on literally the cusp of ranking up from super to ultra bronze. They were literally almost every match was just like rank up measurement. I was just like, are you kidding? These people are almost 2 tiers higher than me, and you consider that to be a convenient match. This game, like Arcade Edition's just come out. There must be bronze players online.
Oh yeah.
Keep me waiting a little bit longer and put me with someone around about my level. Don't keep matching me with people significantly higher. If I wanted to play people significantly higher, I'd play casual. Which always seems to match me with people in gold. But that's casual. I'd expect it there. In ranked, I expect to be put with people around my level, because that's the whole point.
I'd like to basically, because I'm just going to jump on this and then we're going to close off over here because this is becoming a really big discussion. I'd just like to say that I feel that Street Fighter really needs a different ranking system. And the reason I feel this way is because there are 2 types of ranking systems right now. There are those that that basically compare you to everybody else, which is what Street Fighter V's is. Like, it puts you in relation to everybody else, so you lose points when you lose, you gain points when you win. Whereas you see a game like Tekken just basically ranks you up based on how well you are doing. It's comparing it to yourself, basically. And I feel that Street Fighter has enough of a competitive scene to accommodate the first, like for players like Dillips who really push themselves to become better, and other high-level players. They got tournaments, they got the Capcom Pro Tour. There's all of that stuff to really compare yourself to others, whereas I feel like a ranking system within the game should be more about me, the player, without stressing me out that I lose points whenever I lose. It just ranks me up when it feels that I've actually done better in the game. So I feel like this is something that needs to actually be thought about and actually be implemented in the game, because we really don't need this kind of really high stress environment for the game. And if we really want to make this friendly for casual players and like really strong players alike, we really need to consider actually going into a different kind of system like that, in my opinion.
I mean, if you compare this, like just to kind of bounce off your point and use a comparative, because that's the easiest way to describe it to other people. If you compare that to the way BlazBlue does its ranking, in which how you do will dictate your player level, and then you'll be ranked again with people around your player level. So let's just say you, like, for instance, I currently on, this is not me boasting, by the way, I've had to work very hard for this, and I know it's going to fall apart the next time I go online. But with BlazBlue, at the moment, I have a 42% win ratio. So that's quite good for me. Usually I'm around about the 28 to 35%. But my player level is level 12, so I'm only ever on ranked put against people between level 10 and level 14. So 2 levels higher or lower than me, but your level never decreases. It only ever increases. So even your losses count as you improving. So basically, if you, let's just say if I played it tonight and I got to level 13 and then I lost every other match I played tonight, I would still be level 13. But it would only start increasing again once I started winning again. So it would only start putting me against harder opponents than that after I'd already improved myself. And that is the way ranked should be. It should be, as you have said quite rightly, it should be based on how the player is doing, not how the player is doing versus everyone else.
That's my thoughts as well. I feel that should be the case. I don't know if you disagree with that, Daniel.
See, the incentive to lose points is the incentive not to lose. And it does put the fear in me to lose points when I go on ranked. And I know it's not necessarily... I do think that encourages me to do better, kind of. But it also puts me off sometimes playing ranked, losing points.
But then surely that's a negative. If there is a mechanic that is in a mode that is putting you off playing that mode, that is a bad mechanic. Because you're not the only one. I hear the same from almost everyone who plays Street Fighter V, that they don't like playing ranked.
Mm.
I mean, I mean, on the stream the other day, Charlie has only just started playing ranked on Street Fighter V, like, seriously. And that's 2 years in, and Charlie's a good player. So there must have been something that's been putting her off for these 2 years, and I think it's that. I think it's that there is such a stressful and anxiety-inducing connotation with losing points that it puts people off playing it.
Ranked down. That sounds... it's just like,
It's just bad. I mean, and overall, I feel it makes the game about the points instead of about you yourself improving, which I think defeats the purpose. And we're going to close it off with that because we are over the line that I've set.
Well over
this
the
virtual
line.
We're over the line. But yeah, overall, Street Fighter A is out. Here's your other chance to go get it, guys. This is a great opportunity. If you buy Street Fighter Arcade Edition, you get all Season 1 and Season 2 characters. Season 3, you're going to have to buy the Season Pass, but it's a great package right now. It's a complete game. Huh?
Or use fight money.
You can use fight money to get characters if you want as well, if you do a little bit of that grind. Right, so very quickly, anything you would like to share with the audience, Daniel? Anything you're up to?
I've got an urge to play Darkest Dungeon. I haven't played it for ages. I know we were talking about it briefly earlier, but I just got a real urge to play it.
Are you going to stream it?
I don't like streaming so much. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
What about you, Ruben?
I'm going to be doing my normal streams, so I'm going to aim to do 2 streams today, hopefully. One of which, God save me, is probably going to be Street Fighter V. The other one of which will be Super Lucky's Tale. So I'm much more looking forward to Super Lucky's Tale than I am to the other. And just the normal stuff. RueTheGamer.com is currently going through a bit of a redesign. I'm still trying to work out some of the kinks. I've done the initial start of the redesign, but like there seems to be issues with a couple of the layouts, so I need to sort that out. But RueTheGamer.com is where you'll find all of my content, videos every day on YouTube as well. So come and check out the stuff I'm doing.
And I'll be sharing this vlog on my Daniel Dillips podcast. Yeah, I'll be sharing this podcast on my Daniel Dillips Facebook account, which can be found at facebook.com/Daniel Dillips. All one word.
Awesome. Love that. And you can get more of Daniel's nice little shares every now and then. He doesn't share very often, but what he shares is definitely entertaining. And yeah, So speaking of entertaining, you can also find, I don't know how that went into a segue into that, but that's okay. You can find this podcast on Anchor now, if you're just for the audio version. That would be at anchor.fm/AkibanaZero or on the Anchor app by searching for AkibanaZero and favorite. We'll slowly be rolling out on iTunes and stuff. I'm still trying to figure out all of that. Right, so as for where you can find us, you can find me on Twitter at AkibanaZero and on YouTube at youtube.com/c/AkibanaZero. Daniel, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Daniel Dillips and Facebook, Daniel Dillips.
Daniel Dillips, yeah. And what about you, RTG?
Yep, you can find me at twitter.com/RueTheGamer, or the easiest way is to go to RueTheGamer.com, where all of my social links are there.
Making life easy for everybody to find you. Great, and that's going to be your Gaming Blast for the week. We hope you all have a great week of gaming, and we'll catch you next time.
See you later.
See ya. Bye.